Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Slow Crafting podcast. My name's Nadine and I live in the northwest of England, and this is a podcast or vlog about trying to incorporate a slow living and slow fashion approach into all my crafting endeavours, so knitting, spinning, crochet, sewing, a whole range of fibre related goodness. You can find me obviously here on YouTube as the Slow Crafting podcast. I'm Crafty Nadine on Ravelry, and you can also find me on my blog, which is themanyknitsofnadine.wordpress.com. Okay, so hello to any new viewers that are giving me a try for the first time today, and also a very big hello to any returning viewers. Thank you for coming back. What I'm going to cover today, so I'm just looking at my show notes, is what I'm wearing that's handmade, finished objects for this past 2 weeks, and then works in progress, and finally some thoughts I've been having about what slow crafting has meant to me over the past couple of weeks. Okay, so kicking off with what I'm wearing that's handmade. It's quite late at night now, so realistically I should be in my pyjamas and not wearing anything handmade at all, but my first attempt at recording this morning didn't go well. I was very incoherent, shall we say, after getting drenched in the rain, and was a little bit flustered. So purely for you watching out there, I have stayed fully dressed until gone 9 o'clock at night, and I am currently wearing my Hitchhiker by Martina Bain. It's made out of hand spun, which was some fibre from Collinette. They don't appear to do fibre anymore. I was looking on the website and it just seems to be purely yarn nowadays, but I got the fibre for this from the Festival of Quilts probably about 4.5 years ago, and it's the October colourway, because it's quite late at night now. The colours aren't showing up particularly very well, but it's oranges and pinky reds and greens. I don't know if that's any better, but yeah, my points, even after blocking, never sit flat. They always curl up, so I don't know if that's just a vagary of the fact that it's a single spun yarn. It probably is actually. So yes, that's the first handmade thing that I'm wearing, and the second handmade thing that I'm wearing is also a hand spun. And let me put up these, my hand spun socks from just using my bog standard vanilla sock formula, using fibre from Fondant Fibre, and it's 100% Wensleydale, traditional 3-ply, and it's in the colourway Candy Apple, I think. So it goes from quite a nice greeny yellow through to orange and pinky red. Yes, I'm very happy, and I love my hand spun hand knit socks even more than just my normal hand knit socks. Right, moving on. Finished objects. Now I've only got one of them here with me today. I did mention last time I recorded that the Joseph cardigan from What to Knit the Toddler Years by Nikki van der Kar was actually going to have been given away by the time I recorded today, so I did go ahead and post pictures of it on my Instagram, and for those of you who follow me there, you've probably already seen it. I will probably post a couple of pictures of it, well, no, one, because I took only one picture. I'll put a picture of it on my blog as well, so that's the manyknitsofnadine.wordpress.com. I will try and remember to link in the comments below to the blog this time round as well. And my second finished object is one that I forgot to show you last week, so I'd actually finished it last time. It's the colourwork yoke jumper that I made for my daughter's birthday. So there we go. You actually, when I recorded it this morning, the blue was not showing up true to colour at all, but it's showing up much truer now than it was this morning. The blue for the main body of the jumper and the sleeves is very, very deep stash. I started knitting a cardigan with it probably over 7 years ago. I thought I'd ripped it all out and re-knit it when I knitted myself a jumper, which I'm actually wearing in episode 1, but then with packing and moving I discovered that no, there were still pieces of the cardigan that were were still knitted up and I hadn't ripped out, so I managed to rip that out and use it for my daughter's jumper. So now we almost have mummy and daughter matching jumpers, but they're not, because mine has a full colourwork yoke and hers is just multicoloured yarn, which is a bit of sparkle in it. This multicoloured yarn is some that I was given as a gift from my sister. It was King Cole Cabaret. I'm not quite sure of the colourway, and the ball band's downstairs. It's both yarns are 100% acrylic, which, as I mentioned before, whilst for me slow crafting and slow fashion, when it comes to garments for myself, I am going to endeavour to use natural fibres. Certainly when it comes to my knitting, I would prefer proper wool yarns, but for my children, my token towards slow fashion for them is giving them handmade items of clothing. When they're older, I will give them sort of more natural fibres, but at the moment the man-made fibres for them are the thing that's going to stop me crying when they're rolling around the floor in the mud. So if it's something I've knit that's going to shrink or be ruined, then I'm not going to be happy. But because this is toddler proof, we'll go with that for now. I think you'll find with my approach to slow living and slow crafting, I'm not going to go at it 100 miles an hour, because that would be the antithesis of slow, but I'm not going to go headlong full into everything right from the beginning. For me it's about implementing it incrementally, and doing what suits you, so that you're not overwhelmed by a desire to do everything all at once. Okay, so that's that jumper. She loves it. It comes down past her bum, so hopefully it'll fit her for at least a year. I don't know, at the speed she grows, it could be less than that, but yes, so she loves it. And she has actually been wearing it today, so I'm surprised it's still clean. But her younger sister, my youngest daughter, did steal it off her at one point, and she was wearing it and it came down past her knees, which was very, very cute. Okay, that's finished objects. Moving on to works in progress. I have quite a few. I seem to have been a bit, start all the things, or at least pull things out of hibernation that I've not been working on for the last few weeks. The first of which don't think I've mentioned since, well, I certainly haven't shown you since episode 2, and that's the Alabama Channing swing skirt that I'm making for my mum. That is a belated Christmas present, which I'm going to give her on Mother's Day, hopefully if I finish it, which is this, in the UK, is this coming Sunday. So she'll be getting a belated Christmas present along with her belated birthday present and a Mother's Day present all on one day. Present central for my mum on Sunday. But yes, so the Alabama Channing swing skirt is from this book. Ooh, there we go, which is Alabama Studio Sewing Patterns by Natalie Channing, and it's a very straightforward design. The fabric for the top layer is a cotton jersey from Abercan fabrics, which again I reference in episode 2. it was they don't have it in stock anymore, but I think it was $11.99 a metre, so it was probably one of their more expensive ones, but it is very, very soft. I'm just sat here stroking it like it's a kitten. So yeah, but that's the top layer, and the bottom layer is this sort of duck egg blue cotton jersey from the Village Haberdashery. Now, they only sell their fabric by the quarter metre, so you have to do some maths if you're looking to buy by the full metre, and this worked out about £15 a metre, I think, so I won't tell my mum that, otherwise she'll never wear this skirt. Luckily you only need a metre of each fabric, so it doesn't work out ridiculously expensive. But yes, last time I showed you it, I'd got the 2 layers basted together for each panel. There's 4 panels in the skirt, but since then I've actually done the reverse applique on each of the panels, so it's I don't know if you can see how well you can see. Find a big one. Okay, so basically you stencil your design on the top layer, stitch round your design element or your stencil once you've painted it on, and then cut out the fabric from the top layer, so you're left with gaps where you can see through to the bottom layer. It did feel very, very odd cutting into my fabric into the skirt that I'd just spent hours working on, but I suppose like steeking, when it comes to knitting, cutting into something that you've spent hours on is always going to feel a bit weird. But no, it took me a ridiculous amount of time to work out the stencil pattern for the circles on the skirt, but I think I've come up with something that I'm happy with, and hopefully when it's all put together it will look like I imagined it would in my mind to begin with. The Alabama Channing book does give you quite a few options for stencil templates, but I didn't think any of the ones that were in the book that you can print out and use, I didn't think any of them went with the material that I'd chosen or that my mum had chosen for the top layer for this skirt. Yes, so hopefully I'll get this finished by Sunday to give to my mum for Mother's Day, but that does mean that I won't have it to show you next time I record, because obviously this is a 2-weekly podcast, so I'll post pictures on my Instagram. I should have said my Instagram's set to private. I do accept people who send me friends requests if they show an interest, or it's obvious from their profile that they've got an interest in knitting or spinning, and fibre, other fibre crafts. But the reason I've got it set to private is because I often post pictures of my children on there, and I think there was a few sites I've come across recently where pictures that if you had a public profile, there was a few sites that were showing details of posts that you put on Instagram, so I set it to private because I just didn't particularly want the world and his wife seeing all my pictures of my tea and my children and my knitting. Rock and roll there on my Instagram account. Yeah, so if you would like to see the finished picture, I'll also put it on my blog. So my Instagram account is Nadybobs, and my blog is themanyknitsofnadine.wordpress.com. Okay. Show notes. Yes. The next thing I've been working on is cross stitch. I don't do this very often, but this is something I started a couple of years ago because I wanted to make something to go in my daughter's bedroom, and now that we've moved house and their room needs decorating, probably the only room in the house that actually does need decorating rather than we'd like to decorate, I thought I'd better pull it out and start working on it again. And I haven't used a cross stitch pattern for it. I've actually used a knitting pattern, which might sound a bit strange, but it's from this Debbie Bliss knitting magazine from fall winter 2010, so it's quite an old one. But this beautiful jumper on the front here, which is why I have this magazine, because I wanted this jumper. I haven't knitted it and I can't see me getting around to knitting it anytime soon, but the knitting chart for this jumper is what I've used for the cross stitch. Drop my scissors. So this is what I've got so far. Now, as you'll see, I don't use hoops or frames or anything. My cross stitch, my Aida and all my other fabric is just scrunched up in my hand when I'm working on it, which is not terribly professional, and there's probably people that do cross stitch out there that are absolutely aghast with disgust at my slovenly ways. But and from this, it's not really looking like much at the moment, but when it's finished, hopefully it will look nice and interesting. But yes, I don't work on this particularly fast, so she might be waiting, or they share a room, so they might be waiting for quite some time before they actually get it put up on the wall. But yes, and I'm using a range of flosses for that, from I think they've got like Anchor and DMC, and then some really cheap ones that were an unwise investment, because they do tend to snap if you pull on them a bit too hard, or if you cut your threads too long, and I think the friction on the cotton wears them away after a while, so you have to make sure you chop them to a shorter length than you would some of the more recognisable name brands of threads. Okay, so that's what's going on with the cross stitching. One more sewing work in progress so far. I mentioned last episode that I'd got this pattern for my daughter for her birthday. Let me not get it wrong this time. 8101. Yes, not 1018. 8101. It's a Simplicity pattern, and it's by Dottie Angel. And I mentioned last time that I got this for my daughter, and I showed you the fabrics that I'd got for her to make them in. I've only cut out one of them so far. I've not done the Doctor's Use fabric yet. I've cut out the dinosaur fabric, so this is what the main body is going to be in. Yeah, this blue, brown and yellow dinosaur fabric, and then the pocket on the front. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to see this. Oh, I'm dropping them everywhere and there's pins in. This is the reverse side, because I don't know. Yes, this is going to be the little pocket on the front, and then there's going to be a yellow band at the top, which sort of unifies the two pieces a bit more. I did, for the first time, actually trace the pattern off. Ooh, just reached that. Yes, trace the pattern off rather than just cutting the pattern out directly, because I thought I might actually want to make more than one size. So for my daughter as she gets older, or indeed I might want to reuse the pattern for my younger daughter. And it was very awkward tracing off the pattern. Not as annoying and irritating as actually printing off and sticking a PDF pattern together. And it probably wouldn't have been as annoying to trace off the pattern if I hadn't had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old rampaging across the kitchen floor and standing on my pattern pieces and everything else. But no, I think tracing pattern pieces is not necessarily my thing. I much prefer just cutting them out of the pattern itself and using those. So yes, I'm hoping to get time to actually sew the pieces up together on that in the next couple of weeks, but we've got a busy couple of weeks coming up, so we'll see how far I get with that. my oldest daughter is chomping at the bit and wants to be wearing it. Mummy, why haven't we finished my tunic yet? So I best pull my finger out with that one. Right, spinning. This is my latest spin. This is half of it. So I'll hide my head so it might actually focus. Oh, maybe not. Now the colours on this aren't coming out as well as they did this morning, or as accurate. I think there's probably a better representation, certainly, of the brown. It's sort of orangey browns, khaki greens, greys, sort of a few different shades of grey. And it's mixed fibres. I think it's predominantly merino, but there are some sort of crunchier textured fibres in there as well. And there's a couple of sections in it that have got fibre that's got neps in. I spun it using some of my bargain bags of leftover fibre. As I've mentioned before, I'm a sucker for a bargain, and my local yarn store does frequent felting workshops, and generally after they've run one of those, they have bags full of scraps and bits of leftover fibre, and I tend to go through and rummage and drag out all the bags that look like they might have an interest in mixing. Now previously I have just got a bag, spun it up in all the weird and wonderful colours it contains, and had a very bright and beautiful barber pulled yarn as an end result, which then sits in my cupboard because I don't necessarily know what to do with it. So I was a bit more intentional this time. I had a few bags that I'd got stockpiled, and I went through and actually picked colours that were a bit more harmonious and worked better together, so that I would end up with a yarn that was more usable as an end result. So I think separating out a few of the bags, I ended up with this brown, green, grey mix for this spin, and then I'll have another spin later on that is primarily different shades of blue, and then I've got an odd bag of strange yellow bits that I'll have to do something with at some point, but I did it so that I would end up with something usable rather than just something pretty that just sat in my cupboard and didn't get used, because that's not, well, it's not what slow crafting is about to me. It's things should be practical. They shouldn't just be there to sit around and look pretty. If they do look pretty, that's always a bonus, but I'm not function over form all the time. There is room for aesthetics occasionally. But yes, I think by the time I've spun up the second half of this and plied it together, because I'm just going to do a straightforward 2-ply, I'm probably going to end up with maybe about 200 grams, and I'll probably end up with about 450 meters ish of heavy fingering to DK weight, I think. When I spin short forward draw and worsted, so my yarns are quite dense, and I like a tight ply and a tight twist on my singles as well, so I don't tend to get a massive amount of yardage for the weight, but that's the way I like to spin, and that's the type of wool or yarn that I like to knit with as well. So yes, I'm quite happy with that so far. Right, more. There is more. Right, this I mentioned in episode 3. I think I just started it in episode 3. Is my hand spun jumper that I was making the pattern up for as I went along with it. I was using, I'd been through my stash of hand spun yarn that I'd been sort of building up over the last couple of years, and I'd pulled out all the colours that were roughly a fingering weight and a sort of green or thereabouts in colour. So there was some that were sort of quite bottle green, some that were a browner green, and then a bit more of a lime green. but overall I thought I'd end up with something that worked well. I did use the random stripe generator from the Jam and Biscuits website. If you just type random stripe generator into a search engine, it should bring up that as pretty much your top choice. So I use that to work out the sequence of knitting the different yarns and striping, and this is what I have so far. Right, look at all the ends to weave in. I'm not even joking, that's all the way down. I'm not looking forward to that bit. Right, okay, so this will fold over, obviously, and be the polo neck, and then we've got all the way down to, well, not quite my hips, probably just about tummy button level. It's blowing out a bit there in terms of the colour. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but yes, I think it's definitely going to look like a hand spun jumper, but I'm happy with that. Once I finish the body, I'll just have the sleeves to do, and I'll probably do 3/4 length sleeves on it. It's working up a bit baggier than I'd originally planned, but that's a good thing, given, as I mentioned last week, that I'd put on a stone in about a month. It'll give me more room to actually move in it. I'm probably going to, it's got some waist shaping in it, so it won't just be a shapeless bag. It should still be relatively form fitting, but there will be plenty of positive ease on it. So yes, I think I've probably got, just trying to measure from my tummy button down how far I want it to go, but I've probably got another maybe 3 or 4 inches to knit on it before I can start on the sleeves. I think rather than having it ribbed at the bottom, I'm probably going to do a folded hem, just because it is quite baggy and I don't want it to just sort of poof and scrunching it at the ribbon at the bottom. I want it to just sort of be a bit more comfortable around my hips, but I will do ribbing at the bottom of my sleeves rather than a folded hem or anything else at the bottom of there. Okay, and my last project, I know there are 101 different scrap blankets going around at the moment, but you know, that are always popular on Instagram and different podcasts, but I didn't really want to get sucked in to any of the current ones. I love watching everybody else's and looking at what everyone else has been making, but I didn't want to feel like I was just making something just to join in with everybody else. I wanted to make something that was going to be useful and suited what I was making it for, and I have got lots of sock scraps, so I did want to make a blanket with them. But I've actually got 2. I did start one for my older daughter, but I've not worked on that in a while because I'd got to the stage where I'd used all the scraps, the different colours of sock scraps that I had on her blanket, so I was knitting some more socks so I would have more scraps to use on it. But I started one for my younger daughter this last couple of weeks, and found it quite addictive actually. I say I started it, I think I started it the day before yesterday, and this is what I've got so far. It's got to be really colourful and gaudy, but we all like that in our house, so that's alright for us. I didn't want to do the granny stripe crochet blanket because I didn't want the holes for it to poke through and stretch it out and everything else, so I've gone for a more solid fabric on this. I've gone for a scale stitch, and I like how it's turning out, because I do like the repetitive nature of crochet, and unlike knitting I can be doing lots of different things while I'm doing it. You know, I can read a book while I'm knitting, I can watch telly while I'm knitting, I can hold a conversation while I'm knitting. But with crochet, I am a bit more mindful and a bit more focused and a bit more sort of switched off from everything else. I do just tend to sit there and count. It's a bit more meditative because I sort of just get into my rhythm and counting the stitches, and don't tend to think about anything else and other than just right, cluster, double crochet, couple of chain, another cluster, and yeah, just get into the rhythm and the repetitive nature of it. So that's probably why I've been quite happy to work on this at the moment. Because yes, life with toddlers, I think you need something that chills your brain out occasionally. Yes, so I'm not sure how long this will take me. In my head, I've planned on having it done by Christmas, but we shall see. Yes, yes, that's my last work in progress. Yeah, I make it for a single bed size, and my foundation chain for this was 244, I think. And like I say, it's just a bog standard scale stitch, and yeah, just, that's all there is to say about that one. The scraps I'm using are all commercial yarns that are left over from socks that I've knitted. They're predominantly, I think, about a 75-25 superwash wool nylon blend, because that's what I knit most of my socks with, apart from my hand spun socks. But I'm not putting hand spun wool in this blanket. One, because I know it'll need a lot of washing because it's going to be for a toddler, but also because my hand spun that when I've spun intentionally for socks, it comes out probably about sport weight rather than a fingering, and I think most of these commercial sock yarns are on the light fingering end of the scale. Okay, just a sort of final thought is my thinking around slow crafting and slow fashion for me this last couple of weeks. Now, my original plan was that I would just make things that were functional and fitted into my mummy uniform of jumpers, tunics, trousers, socks, you know, things that were you know, that served a purpose, that were about what suited me on a day-to-day basis. Now I have come to the conclusion that I might actually need something in my wardrobe that's not always practical. Not just from I want something pretty, because I think my handmade things are pretty, even if they're just for going up the allotment and digging in, or you know, wrestling toddlers. But I've had a couple of sort of functions recently where I've looked in my wardrobe and gone, oh, I haven't got anything suitable. You know, the naming ceremony that I mentioned last week, and then my friend's wedding, and I thought I might actually need a nice dress, a fancy shawl, and a fancy cardigan. I don't need lots of them, because the way my groups of friends are sort of split up and all around the country, chances are I can wear it for one function and then wear it for the next function without seeing any of the same people. Not that should bother me, but it does. So yes, I do need a fancier outfit in my wardrobe. I'm not planning on making anything just at the moment, but I think it's something that I should probably bear in mind when I'm planning the rest of my year and the rest of my makes for the year. It was something that had been sort of percolating and rattling around my head anyway after I'd been to this naming ceremony. But then when Lisa, Saratoga Knitting from Knitting by the Sea podcast, hello, in case you're watching, don't know who she is, but I'd be really pleased if she was. Yes, so she was talking about couture knits, and you know, having something on your needles that was a bit special, and you know, a project that you took longer with, that you didn't just rush through to get to the end of it, and that you actually enjoyed the process of, and were a bit more engaged in the process of. And so that coming on top of my thoughts about needing, having a gap in my wardrobe where outfits were that suited particular functions and you know, ceremonies. And I thought, actually, yes, my plans are all around functional everyday items, and I could do with a couple of couture knits or couture makes in there as well. So yes, I think that's it. Apart from just a recap on what I'd said a couple of episodes ago about what actually slow fashion meant to me, and it was about not this year trying not to buy any commercially made garments, and trying not to trying to shop from stash as far as my makes were concerned. And so far this year I've not bought any clothes at all. No shoes, no underwear, no socks, no clothes, no nothing. So I'm doing quite well on that front. And I have shopped from stash for everything apart from the Alabama Channing skirt for my mum, which as I say, I bought from Abercan and from the village haberdashery, the fabric for that, at the beginning of this year. So I'm actually doing quite well on the on the shopping from stash front. But yes, I think that's about it for today. Hopefully I'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the next episode, and in the meantime, if you want to find me anywhere, I'm Crafty Nadine on Ravelry, and my blog is themanyknitsofnadine.wordpress.com. Okay, see you next time. Bye bye.